Good afternoon now. Today my topic is preparation of contracts. So this may not be familiar to you. This is a separate stream. So my intention today is to give you an overview of what is the tendering process, estimation process followed in Indian Railway. So let's see. Okay, let me give you a life cycle, an overview of the life cycle of a tender. First, it is a preliminary study. It has to be done by the section in charge. Then estimate and terms and conditions preparation. Then it goes for administrative approval, and that goes after getting administrative approval. It goes for finance vetting, then sanction. Then you have to get an approval for calling tender. Then you have to publish the tender on GEM or IRBS or other platforms. Then you have to once the tender has been called, you have to get what we call you have to open the tender, you have to see for the offers received, you have to see its eligibility bidding, then you have to evaluate it, and once evaluation is done you have to give an LOA. When once LOA is given, the company or the winner has to give you a performance guarantee, then security deposit if any, and then comes execution. During the execution there comes billing, variations and extensions, and finally there can be determination of contract or termination. So this is basically the overview. You start with the study, you go for estimate and terms preparations, then you gain the approvals, you obtain the approvals, administrative approval, finance vetting, you publish the tender, you open the bid, you evaluate the bid, then you get the mandatory securities that are needed, like a performance guarantee and security deposit. Once that is done, you can start working. Once the work is going on, there will be periodic building process, variations, extensions as required, and determination. This is basically what I'm going to tell you, right? And short few slides. Calling tender എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ടെൻഡർ അപ്രൂവൽ ഫോർ കോളിംഗ് ടെൻഡർ ആണോ അത് കോളിംഗ് ടെൻഡർ മീൻസ് സാങ്ഷൻ ഒരു എസ്റ്റിമേറ്റ് സാങ്ഷൻ കിട്ടിയാൽ നമുക്ക് ടെൻഡർ കോൾ ചെയ്യാം. അതിന് അപ്രൂവൽ കിട്ടണം. അപ്രൂവൽ മേടിച്ചിട്ട് അതിന് അതിന്റെ റെസ്പെക്റ്റീവ് പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൽ ക്യാൻ ബി ഇത് IREPS ഓർ ജെം ആണ് പ്രിഫേർഡ് ഇപ്പോൾ. ദെൻ IREPS അത് നമ്മൾ പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യണം. ഇതാണ് പ്രോസസ്സ്. So this is, I think this part will be the most important for the you here, because rest of the work, most of the work I've shown here is being done by drawing section. So this is a preliminary study by section in charge. This is important. First, the section in charge has to ensure that whatever you're planning to outsource, there is feasibility to outsource that work. You have to study the work thoroughly, and you have to have a clear grasp of what the work is to be, what has to be done, how it is to be done in a clear format. Then you have to identify the methods, then market rates and manpower. How many people you require to carry out that work, and what are the market rates? Further, you can inquire in the market at what rates the work can be done. Then the section in charge has to prepare the schedule of work. Schedule of work means that table, there's a table like description, quantity, and the unit of measurement. That is basically the schedule of work or bill of quantities. Right now it's called bill of quantities. Then comes the technical specifications. This is where you define what the work is to be, how the work has to be done. Your SMIs, your TCs, MS, and everything connecting to that, you can put it in here. Then these are the next set of things. Contract period, cycle time. These are the basics for every contract. You have to define what is the period of contract, how much time it will take to carry out the work for a single unit of measurement. Then material transaction, how you want to send the material, whether it has to be gone out, taken in, whether there has to be inspections, everything you need to take care of this, warranties. Then next comes the important part. While proposing, you need to give the drawing section rate references. Minimum 2 rate references are required if it is budgetary. So there are 3 rate references we can use. One is past LOAs or last accepted rates preferably in our railway or any other railway, that's no problem. But you need to get last LOAs. If that is not available, you know the manpower required for carrying out the work, you can go for minimum wages. That is Chief Labour Commission is there in New Delhi. They will publish manpower, the rate of wages as well as the DA for every city for certain kind of works. That you can get it in April, it will change, in October it will change. There is ELC NDLS website. You can go there, you can find the rate, what is the prevalent rate. So either you get the last accepted rate, whether the same work has been carried out in any other railway or in our railway or any other shift, you get that rate. That is fine. Even in our shift. Otherwise, you go for the minimum wages. If that is not even possible, then you go for budgetary quotation. When you give budgetary quotation, the section has to give rate reasonableness. He has to certify that I have studied the market. This rate is reasonable. Then section has to give the justification why this work is to be outsourced in a clear justification. So the one thing is what I'm seeing or my experience here is that one justification will be this work is required, which is not justification, which is just a statement of justification why this is required. You should be able to ascertain the requirement in front of an authority and you have to defend it. So justification should be like that. That's basically preliminary study. And here, terms and conditions preparation. So basically, we need a proposal. Proposal with justification and right reference. This has to be given by the section preliminarily. Then scope of work. The section has to define what the work is to be, how it is to be done. Schedule of work. The bill of quantities I mentioned. Then technical specification, as I said. Then every contract should have a contract period. Within what period this contract should be completed? It is 1 year, 2 years, 24 months, 36 months, or 15 days or 20 days, whatever it is, that should be there. Then, if there is a requirement for guarantee, the section has to mention that. Some material, like if a compressor is going out for repair or overhaul, that will have a guarantee. But so if they change some part in that, the company has to guarantee it for like 24 months or 27 months. That is there if it is required. But certain other works like you are loading a motor or you are sweeping cleaning, there is no requirement for that warranty. So accordingly, you have to do it. Then in what time that warranty has to be attended, that is required. Then cycle time. Cycle time is the time required to carry out each unit of work. It differs, like if it is unloading, loading kind of contracts, it's the work being carried out inside the shed. It generally defines what in the schedule, how the work progresses. Like on the day one, what you have to do day two, what you have to do, in how many days you have to complete. On other cases, if a transformer is being taken out for repair rehabilitation, the cycle time will be like how many days you have to return that. The firm has to give it back. That goes there. Then delivery period. If the material goes out, you have to specify the delivery period. Then comes the inspection clauses. So certain generic inspection is the railway has full right to inspect the work whenever we require. That is a generic clause. But if you have any specific conditions, like before dispatching the material, you need to take it out and you need to inspect whether the material is okay or something needs to be changed. Something is a conditional basis changing, something of that sort. You need to record it. That kind of conditions comes in inspection that has to be given by the section in charges. There are three kind of inspections: initial, final, and stage is there. You have to means the person who is dealing with that work, he has to figure it out how the inspection has to be carried, whether stage is required or whether initial inspection is required, what are inspections are required. Then comes indemnity bond. Say if our material is being taken out of the shed or out of railway premises, the company who is taking this out has to give a certain amount of money equivalent to that material's value as a custody to the government of the railway, so that in case of any problem that arises or any defects that arises because of their lack of keeping it or their mishandling of something happens, we can recover that amount. That is indemnity bond. So when giving the proposal, you have to take care of that also, whether the material is being taken out and whether the proper indemnity value has been defined. Next is qualification of labor. This is also an important point for many of the sections, I guess. What should be the qualification of the staff deputed by the contractor to carry out this particular work that you are proposing to outsource? Whether that should be a ITI or the supervisor should be there, supervisor should be BTech or diploma, whatever. That has to be provided. Then the last thing we care about is list material. Many works may not be having list material. Some works will be having list material. Depends on the nature of the work. Sometimes if you are taking it out for overhauling rehabilitation, there will be a release material. Whether that has to be taken back to the shed or a credit is to be given in the estimate, that you have to figure it out. Otherwise, it won't be there. So there are the basic things a proposal should have that we depend on. Next is once we get the terms and conditions and the rate references, we go for estimate preparation. In estimate preparation, we basically use the whatever rate references you have given, and we frame that. This is drawing sections work. We frame an estimate to what amount it comes based on your rate reference for your schedules. What amount it comes that. And one thing to be noted is that whatever last accepted rate, everything rate references you are giving, try to keep it recent. We don't want 1 year back or 2 year back, 3 year back references because that won't go. Whenever the time for bidding comes, the firm will definitely go up for that value because the current rate would be something different. So recent LAR, then EPF in case of manpower that we will take care of generally. Uh, that will be the estimate part. Whatever the bill of quantity you give, we will prepare the estimate. Once the estimate is prepared, we will put up for administrative approval. That is the next process step in the process. In administrative approval, every administrative approval, there is a schedule of powers. We have a model schedule of power 2018. Based on that, the power is delegated to the authority at different levels: JG level, DRM, HRM level, PHOD, CHOD level. So, for different works and different kinds of work and different values, there will be different authorities who are empowered to give approval for carrying out that work. In general, like your normal outsourcing work, that work you have been carrying out inside the shed and you want to suddenly outsource it, it's generally 37A under works matters and goes DRM has the power. Otherwise, in the repair works like 39B and all, our senior sir has the power. So based on that and the types of work, we have basically three types of works happening in our shed: outsourcing, repairs, and AMC. Outsourcing is basically whatever we are doing here, we are outsourcing it. Repairs like repair rehabilitation of transformers, that kind of repairs we are having. AMC is basically the SIVs, IG propulsion systems that goes for AMCs. Then there are four types of tenders, basically three, and the quotation is an emergency route. There is open tender, limited tender, and single tender. When open tender is, we are opening up the tender to everybody. Anybody can participate. We will publish a notice and we will publish the tender on an online platform, basically IREPS or GEM, and anybody can participate in that. So it's open to anybody to participate, uh, provided that if there is any eligibility criteria, he satisfies it. Next is limited tender. In limited tender, we will call the inquiries from certain firms that we know they are capable of doing. This has restrictions. You need higher authority approval to go for limited tender. The preferred is open tender so that anybody can participate and we know a better market discovery of the rates and we get a proper participation, better rates. Limited is you restrict the participation to certain firms. You are saying that I need only participation from this firm because they are the only one capable of doing it. You have to justify it to the authority in order to go for a limited tender. Then there is single tender. Single tender is equivalent to a PAC item, that there is only one source, only one company can do that work. That will basically be like AMC's original equipment makers like PCB brake system can come, like KBAL only can do, or FTRTAL air dryer they can only do. AMC's propulsion SIVs only that company can do. In that case, we go for single tenders. Then the next is quotations. Quotations is basically an emergency route. You have a particular emergency. You cannot wait for this long lengthy process. So somebody you need something to be done immediately. For that, we go for quotations. Quotations is generally should be time limited, and we can process it quickly within shorter time. So we go for quotations in case of emergencies, and we have to certify that also. Means the proposing SSC has to certify that this is a emergent work, and it has to be gone for quotation. And every contract are governed by Indian Railway General Conditions of Contract. There are two GCCs. One is 2022 for works contract and 2018 for service contract. This will keep updated. Like GCC services, the latest is 2018. GCC works is 2022. It will keep updated. They will change the terms and conditions. So basically, whatever we do is to be governed by this framework, and it has to be within this framework of GCC. Then once administrative approval is granted, the next process is finance vetting. So we prepare a detailed estimate and we prepare a form GD. Form GD is one form that we attach with the detailed estimate. We send it to accounts. Accounts reviews this. Accounts reviews both the procedural correctness and rate justification. So it's not like you put up a proper rate. The accounts will say, okay, it's not like that. They will see the terms and conditions also, whether this work is to be done. They have 100 queries. They will raise it. Then once that review is done, there are two possibilities. Either they return the proposal or it goes for they concur the proposal. One, if they concur, we will put it up to sanctioning authority. If it is returned, we will again go through whatever their queries are. We have to sufficiently and satisfiably answer each and everyone until this process will go on till we get a concurrence. Next is sanctioning. So in sanction stage, once we have get the vetting, we will put up to the sanctioning authority. Sanctioning authority generally that will be defined in that vetting itself. Whatever the finance concurrence letter they are giving, they will say the authority to put up for sanction. Based on that, we will put up to sanction. Once sanction is obtained, we will prepare tender document. Tender document basically has that terms and conditions that section has provided in the first place. Schedule of work, technical specification, then special conditions of contract, and with GCC. GCC is the core part of tender document. Now, this stage is simple tender publishing. Once you get the approval for publishing tender, there are two platforms for us. IREPS is the GEM is the IREPS was the original one. We used to follow IREPS. Now it is being ported out to GEM. Many contracts are being ported out to GEM. But basically, this is a platform for us to publish the tender and get the offers. Now the bidding process. Okay, the thing is, for a bidding, for every if you want to participate in, if the contractor want to participate in our tender, he has to provide an EMD, earnest money deposit. This is to ensure that he won't renegade on the offer he is putting in the tender. Like I can put 1,000 rupees for a 1 crore contract, and I can say I won't do it. That is waste of railways time or the authority's time. For that, up to 1 crore rupees of value, you have to pay 2% as EMD, and for every amount beyond that, you need 0.5%. That has to be provided by and put in by the contractor. And unless there are exceptions, like if you're a startup company, you don't need to, or you're a labor cooperative organization, labor cooperative society, or a PSU. PSUs don't need to, but labor cooperative societies only 50% they need to pay. Next, while putting in the tender, the firm has to put up Annexure 5 and 5A, that are affidavits provided in GCC. Then documents regarding the constitution of the firm. These are mandatory documents that firm has to give. Then whether we have given an eligibility criteria, then the firm has to satisfy that eligibility criteria. Like general eligibility, GCC itself provides some eligibility criteria. Like you need to do at least one work of 60% value, or two works of 40% value, or three works of 30% value. That has to be done. If eligibility criteria is there, then our PHOD will define single similar work, what can be considered as a similar work that is being done. Then that has to be satisfied by the contractor if eligibility criteria is there. For contracts below 50 lakhs, there is no eligibility criteria. Above 50 lakhs, there is eligibility criteria. When eligibility criteria comes, when the tender goes above 50 lakhs, a tender document and everything before publishing has to be sent to headquarters for getting vetting. Okay, I just covered this. Then bidding systems, there are two types of bidding. When we are floating the tender in IRPS or GEM, there are two types of bidding. You can have either single packet bidding or two packet bidding. So in single packet bidding, the contractor just fills one bid only one set of documents he will give. In that, there will be financial bid as well as technical bid. Financial bid means history, what the rate he is quoting, and technical bid means any document that he is providing to satisfy the eligibility criteria. So both will be combined together, and we will be opening it together, and we will know at the same time the rate as well as his documents, what his financial or technical standing is. So this one is single packet system. It is adapted for low value contracts. The next is two packet system. In this, in order to avoid any bias for the rates, like if you see that one contractor has given lower rates, but here he is not up to the mark, still we have a tendency to go for that L1 because we are biased by that rate he has given, and we can know the rates upfront itself. So in order to avoid that, in tenders that require stringent technical requirements are there or high value contracts are there, we go for two packet bidding. In two packet bidding, there will be like one bid will be technical, one bid will be financial. In technical bid, they will put in every document that we have asked, financial, sorry, technical eligibility, financial eligibility, every document only. They won't put in their rates in there. What is the rate they are offering for this particular work? That won't be there. Whatever their credentials are, whatever they are claiming as their credential to participate in the center, that will be given in that technical bid. Another bid will be there, another document will be there. Both are online, there is nothing manual in it. Another bid will be there where they will quote in the rate. So once we open the tender, we will be able to only see the technical bid at first. We won't be knowing anything about the financial bid. So we won't be biased by the rates they are offering. So we will get we can make a fair judgment of their capability. Once we make that fair judgment of the capability, we can open that. We can in that stage we can reject or we can see clarification, and we can get a fair idea of what their standing is, how capable they are to do our particular work. Once we do that, we open their financial bids. So we only open the financial bids of the eligible tenderers, and once we do we get both lower rates as well as we ensure that the quality or the capability of the firm is there. The next is consulting is quality and cost based selection. That is for above 50 lakh in service contract. You can go for in consultation process like DPR preparation, detailed project report preparation, otherwise auditing purposes we have quality and QCBS system. For that is in above 50 lakh criteria in services. That also is a part of two packet because you are caring about quality and cost. You are giving marks for both. What your quality is, technical eligibility, you are giving marks as well as you are giving marks for cost. So it's not just purely L1. L1 is what we call the bane of government procurement, I think, because you are going for the lowest rate no matter what the eligibility is. So in order to circumvent that, in order to overcome that deficiency, we are going for QCBS two packet system. Evaluation, this is basically the process carried out by drawing section. This opening, tender is opened by an officer along with a supervisor. Then evaluation is by a tender committee if the value of the value of the offer is greater than 50 lakh, or JG officer if the value of the offer is less than L1 offer is less than 50 lakh. Then basically the outcomes will be either the officer will decide to award the contract or to negotiate if the rates are high, and it could be also it could be discharge of passover. Discharge is when you find that none are eligible and the tender has to be discharged. You have to call for a fresh tender. Passover is when the lowest L1 rate is not acceptable, or he is not an eligible, L1 is not eligible, we need to go to the L2, we go for passover. So basically you award to L1, you negotiate with the L1, you can discharge the tender entirely, or you can bypass L1, so you go for passover. Once you finalize, this also goes in the same loop, like once you have an L1, you go for negotiation. If it is a negotiation, you go for negotiation. You again open their bid, then you again see if the rate is reasonable or not, and again you go for negotiation or award. This is a loop. And next is performance guarantee. The winner has to submit a performance guarantee. That is 5% of the contract value. He has to submit it within 21 days. If there is a delay, you need to pay 12% interest up to 60 days, On 61st day, if the tenderer has not provided the performance guarantee, the tender is rescinded. You will terminate the tender. Performance guarantee is refunded on physical completion of the work. Now there is a new amendment in GCC that says if the value is abnormally low, you need to pay 10% of the contract value as performance guarantee. Performance guarantee is there to ensure that the contractor carries out the work till the completion of the work, so that he doesn't that there is a part of his money with us, so that he won't run away from the contract. Next is security deposit. That is also again 5% of the value of the contract. Normally, security deposit is recovered from the bills, the running bills that contractor is giving. Otherwise, the contractor can upfront give security deposit in forms of bank guarantee, FDR, and he can even put up the cash also. But generally, beneficial for the contractor is we recovered from their bills, so that it's not an expense for him. You get it at the end of the contract plus maintenance. So refunding of security deposit is a bit different. Performance guarantee, we give it up as soon as the work is completed. Security deposit we do after the completion of guarantee period. So security deposit is basically there to ensure that the contractor covers the warranty. Then this will be important to all, I think. Extension. Extension, there are variation is there are two types. Either you can extend the contract period and you can extend the quantity. You can excess operate the quantity. So extension has to be requested by the contractor. The railway means we don't have the right to ask for extension. The contractor has to seek extension. Contractor has to seek extension, and there are four clauses by which it is dealt. Clause 17 is force majeure. If something like act of God, you will say, flood happened, a pandemic happened, you couldn't do the work, then it is you extend the contract as per clause 17. There won't be any liquidated damages, means he doesn't have to pay, any penalty is not imposed on the contractor. Next is 17, even due to modification. When the when the contract is extended due to some modification, so the railway feels the work has to be modified, and due to that modification, there exists a reason to extend the contract, like an additional work has been added or a particular way of doing this work has been changed, which costs time, then you need to extend the contract. That happens in 17A1, that is due to modification. No LD. Probably this is the reason why whenever we get a extension request, every time we will ask the section in charge to write what is the reason for extension, because it has to be dealt in any of these patterns. 17A2 is external factors, that is not beyond railway and beyond the contractor. In that cases also there is no LD. Then 17A3 is delay by railway. We fail to provide the loco, or we fail to provide sufficient, like in shed cases we fail to provide loco. In engineering and all, if some land is there, you have to acquire some land for carrying out the work, we fail to do that. That is the delay caused by railway is dealt as delay by railway. In all these three cases, 17A 1, 2 and 3, we will not impose any penalty or liquidated damages. Next is contract delay due to contractor. Here comes the companies by willingly defaulting on this their contractual obligations. Like you take a transformer, you need to get it in 15 days or 1 month or 2 months. They are not giving it in that time. That is a fault by the contractor. For that, we will penalize it. Actually, liquidated damage is not a penalty. This is the damages we had suffered due to their negligence that we are liquidating. So liquidated damage as decided by competent authority. And the LD shall not exceed 5% of the contract value. That will be imposed on the contractor for extension. Next is quantity variation. So let us say we have given 10 compressors to a contractor. Now there arises a requirement to operate 2 more. So in that case, we can actually be there. There's no need for us to go for a fresh contract. If it is of emergent nature, you need to do it on emergency, and you don't have time to go for a fresh contract. You can continue operating in this particular contract, it's that running contract. For that, the section in charge has to give quantity. This request for quantity variation. You can operate up to 150% of the original quantity. If 100 were given, 150 up to 150 quantity you can operate. In that, but there will be a slight reduction in the rates paid to the contractor. So if 100 was the original quantity, you will continue to pay the same rate till you operate 125. So if your operation is within 125 percentage, the same rates will be given to the contractor. Now, if you go beyond 125 percentage, from the 126th item to up to 140th, the payment will be at 98 percentage of the original rate. So you agreed to pay 1,000 rupees upfront. Then means like agreement was 1,000 rupees, you will pay only 9,800. Now, sorry, 980. Now, second is beyond 140. Beyond 140, like you operate for 141 to 150th item, the payment will be at 96 percentage. This is being calculated for each individual item. So, certain contract will be having 10, 20, 30 schedules. So, for each individual schedule, this is applicable. And if you want to operate a particular single item in a contract beyond 150 percentage, that is possible. That is possible with the finance concurrence. It is exceptional case, but you can do it with finance concurrence. But the hard limit is the total contract value should never cross 150 percentage. So you have 10 schedules and the total contract value is 1 crore. You should never go beyond 1.5 crore. You cannot give in a single penny after 1.5 crore. Otherwise, you have to go for negotiation with the existing contractor. You have to go for a negotiation, and that requires the personal sanction of general manager. Basically, it is impossible for low value work. Then another kind of variation, you can either operate excess quantity in the current schedules, or you can add new schedules also into the contract. That also can be done, but we have to ensure that the you can do it two ways. You can do it without finance concurrence, that is less than 5 lakh. The hard limit is up to rupees 5 lakh. You can add a new schedule, and you don't need any finance concurrence or new any process. We can do it within the powers of JAG officer. But the thing is, it should be less than 5 lakh or less than 10% of the contract value, whichever is lower. If it goes beyond that, you need finance concurrence. But overall, variation should not cross 150 percentage. That has to be kept. The contract value should not go beyond 150 percentage. That is a hard limit. So two types of variations. One is either you operate excess quantity in the current schedule, or you can add new schedules. Then termination. This comes when there are two clauses dealing with termination. Clause 61 and 62 of GCC. Clause 61 is by railway administration. Like we operated a contract because we didn't have staff or we didn't have manpower. We get the manpower, we get a particular MNP to cover up that shortfall. We need to close a contract. We can do without any liability. We will close it by railway administration. We can, because there won't be any liability on the part of the contractor as well as us. No, we will close it and we will pay the bills. That is by administration, termination by administration. Next, if the contractor didn't do the work, he abandoned the contractor, he is not carrying out the work properly, the railway has a recourse to terminate the contract and go for a fresh contract. So that is dealt by clause 62. So the normal procedure is we will give a 7 days notice to the firm, telling him that this is the particular issue we are facing, you need to improve your performance. We will wait for 7 days. If we didn't improve his performance, we give a 48-hour final warning. Even after that 48 hours, he is not improving the performance, we will terminate the contract. Once a contract is terminated by clause 62, we will forfeit his PG and ST. Whatever performance guarantee the contractor has given up at the time of starting of the contract, we will forfeit it. Whatever security deposit he has provided till date. So, if he had opted for cutting from the running bills, whatever it is accumulated in with us, that will be forfeited. If it is a PG or if it is a bank guarantee or FD or whatever he has given upfront, we will encash it and give it to railway. That is forfeiture. Then that particular contractor cannot continue to operate, cannot continue to participate in this particular work. It's not like a whole ban in this particular work. For example, it is LG compressor. So that particular firm is defaulting. We are terminating him. So he cannot participate in the continuation of this tender. Then we will not give any completion certificate. Or he cannot claim an experience based on this particular work. That is termination. And billing. Billing, generally, there are two modes, online and offline. Online is IRWCMS. The first thing about billing is you need to write a measurement book. Measurement, you need to record your measurement of the work carried out. That is section the whatever section executive has to do it. The procedure is MBook on account by SSC, and he with that he has to upload logbooks, inspection reports, attendance, the every relevant document. Then we will in IRWCMS mode we will send this measurement to the firm. The firm has to accept the measurement book, and once the firm accepts it, the officer will test check the measurement book. Once the measurement book is accepted, test check is done by the officer, the concerned section can start generating the bill. It has to be initiated by SSC. Then the firm uploads the invoice. Shramik Kalyan is one portal where we keep a track of whether the firm is paying EPF, ESI, and other statutory benefits to their employees. So he has to upload the details of those in that. Then EPF, ESI, challan, salary statement, whatever. This goes to the officer. He signs the bill. This goes to Sinidi sir. He forwards to the dealing. That means he forwards it to drawing sections to see that whether there are any penalties or recoveries to be made. Once that is made, it is forwarded to Sinidi sir, and that will be passed and pushed to the IPAS. Passed and pushed to the IPAS means it will be putting up to the accounts. IPAS is the software of the account section. So if you push it to IPAS, it will be there in bill payment. Okay, I think this is